subscribe, like, comment, and hit the notification bell.
Hey friends, how are y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brandy, and today's video is going to be quite different than all my videos in the past, and that is because I was on my computer earlier just going through some files trying to clean up some space, and I found quite a bit of leftover footage that I never made into a video. It seems to be a lot of clips of little prep and trying to like Sunday reset, get everything back in together, but it doesn't look like I ever like filmed intros or outros for it. So I have collated all those little like prep steps, and I'm gonna throw it all into a video and just kind of do a voiceover, I think. So stay tuned if you want to see a hodgepodge video. So this was a Sunday supper I made quite a few Sundays ago. I just have about a 3-pound roast there, and I'm gonna use 2 pounds of carrots total. I already cut up half of them and put them under the roast along with half of a white onion. I don't know, I just like starting off with a bed of vegetables on the bottom and then putting the meat on top. And then for ease, and my mother always did it, I use a brown gravy mix. I am not using bottled water, friends. I had a bottle that was empty that I just filled up with my refrigerator water. But yeah, you could definitely skip the brown gravy mix and just use like beef bouillon or beef stock or something like that, or just your own seasonings and your own gravy. But I find using the season pack just like really speeds it along, and you don't have to like overthink it too much. But I do like to bulk it up with adding some of this better than bouillon. It's like the liquid. I buy this one at Sam's. It's so rich and intense. Kind of a little goes a long way, but I'm just gonna bulk up my gravy. Not bulk up my gravy. I guess the right word is intensify my gravy with adding a little bit of this directly into my gravy powder mix. So about 1 tablespoon, big heaping tablespoon. But again, I mean, you could leave this part out too. It's the same as adding stock or bouillon. But once you add it in with the gravy, you just need to make sure you whisk it all together so that it is all blended well before you add it to your meat, which I'll do later on. And to season the meat, I just use Kinder's The Blend salt, pepper, and garlic. I find I really like this. I don't really know why I like it so much, but I do. I don't know. And I season it very generously because it is a lot of vegetables and a big chunk of meat. But in addition to the Kinder's, I'm adding 2 bay leaves. Don't ask me why. I think roast is like the only time I ever add bay leaves, and I have no idea why I smelled it there. I guess I was just making sure they were still okay, because like that one had a hole in it, and you know, checking to see if they're old. Although I'm not sure I would know what old bay leaves smell like. So I went ahead and diced up the rest of the onion. I ended up adding a total of 1 pretty good sized onion to it, but I love onion. You can add as much or as little as you want. And then for the carrots, I went ahead and diced up the rest of the carrots in pretty good chunks because we like our vegetables to stay quite toothsome, and being that this is a crock pot meal, they can get quite soft. But all in all, I added 1 large onion, medium to large I'd say, and 2 pounds of carrots. I added the gravy mix straight on top of the meat, covered it, put it in a low crock pot for 8 hours, and I only served it with a crescent roll, and it was delicious. Easy Sunday supper. So I typically prep some type of fruit for me a week, whether that's strawberries and or grapes, some type of melon. A lot of the fruit I prefer are ones you have to prep, whereas my husband, he eats a lot of pears, apples, peaches, nectarines. Those just aren't my favorite. So this week we picked up a big watermelon. Typically I wouldn't buy such a big watermelon since I primarily eat it alone, but it was a great price, and my sister-in-law was in town and she bought one, and it was so good that I just had to buy another one the following week. But I'm just showing you kind of how I cut it. They can be daunting if you're not used to cutting them, but you just cut a little sliver off both ends so that it can sit up on its own. You got a nice shot of my grays there. And then you just kind of rotate it and use your knife following along. Like, see right there, just it slides down. It's really quite simple to do. If you haven't tried it before, just give it a go. It's not as daunting as it seems. And like right there, if you leave too much of the white, you just go back and like clear it out. I'm taking my time here because my husband and I are having a deep conversation. I can't remember about what, but I'm stopping, and I think I'm also like watching TV while I do this. And I absolutely love the white part of the watermelon. I actually like it more than the deep red. I know, I'm a weirdo. What can I say? But this watermelon was quite good and quite juicy. And I like to feed the rinds of the watermelon to the donkeys outside. They absolutely love it. So does my Great Dane. He will eat melon rind. I gotta watch him. He's gotten up before to grab it. See, he was in the back there licking his lips. Once you got the rind off, then you just slice it in long slivers. And this is for chunking it. See, that deep red, that's my least favorite part, but it's my husband's favorite, so it works out. So I just cut a long ways slice, and then I'll chunk that in little bite-sized cubes. Obviously, you can also cut it in slices or however you want. I just do it this way because I pack it for my lunch, and it's easy. So this big bowl of watermelon ended up keeping for 2 weeks. Just every couple days, I drain the juice off the bottom, and I think it helps preserve it. If you've been around for a hot minute, you pretty much know that almost every week I meal prep my husband and I some type of breakfast, whether that be a breakfast sandwich, a breakfast taco, or on some occasions a quiche or a casserole. And today I did a casserole, and it was absolutely fabulous. These are Jones's mini sausage. We buy these from Costco, and matter of fact, we are out and I need to remember to get more, but they're still frozen, so I'm just taking my time cutting them up. And I think I did enough for exactly 6 servings, which I think is 3 links if I recall correctly. And then I do the same with this one. I had never added like tater tots into the casserole, but I knew other people make tater tot casseroles. So, there's the chicken sausage I used. It is a favorite of mine. But yeah, so I decided to go ahead this time. Usually I'll use hash browns, but this time I decided to just straight use these tater puffs. And it worked out really well. They cooked up nicely. I was kind of worried about it, but no issues there. And again, I counted out the exact serving for 6. I think I actually only did a half serving of these. And at first I thought I was going to put them in their whole, and then it dawned on me that I probably should cut them at least in half, so we get more it feels like we're getting more bang for our buck. I do this quite often with higher point foods. It just tricks my mind into thinking I'm getting more, and we actually really liked it cut up, so I would suggest doing this. But even though I count everything out to make it even portions, once it's all in the dish, that is like pretty pointless because it all mixed together. But you can see 1 serving is already in the dish, and then I have 5 other servings laid out to add to it. For some reason, when I cook breakfast sausage as part of the protein for breakfast items, I always want to add mushrooms. I just feel like it goes really well together. So I added a 8-ounce carton of Baby Bella mushrooms. I just chopped them up. Of course, I removed the stems. I find they're a little more woody than I tend to like. So I'm going to add in a total of 10 eggs. Typically when I do dishes like this that are supposed to be 6 servings with eggs, I would do 12 eggs, so it's like 2 eggs per serving. But I had a lot of egg whites I wanted to use up, and I actually just really like egg whites, and you know, it's good for your cholesterol too not to eat a ton of eggs. So that's why I subsidize this with egg whites rather than more eggs. I'm going to season it up with everything but the bagel seasoning, and I tend to not add it to the eggs because when I add it to the eggs it just sticks in the bowl rather than going in the pan. And then also added some buttery steakhouse. I don't know why I picked this one. Buttery just sounded good with eggs, what can I say? But I also, to my eggs, I had some fat-free cottage cheese I was looking to use up, so I went ahead and added about a half of a cup of the cottage cheese in. Not sure why I didn't add more. I don't mind adding, I like cottage cheese, so I'm not trying to hide it or anything. I was just trying to add some extra protein without adding a ton of calories. And I always use an immersion blender to blend up my eggs. It is a lifesaver for that. I don't really use it for too much else though. So I just poured the egg mixture straight over the sausage and hash browns, and then I baked it in a 350 oven, and it took quite a while. It took like an hour and a half for this middle to set. And I've actually made this again since then, and I use smaller ramekins so it would bake easier. And then also it also helped us keep the ingredients proportioned out correctly since they were individual containers. But I did push everything down just so it was in the egg mixture before baking it. It was delicious too. So for my lunch, I tend to keep it really simple and mainly alternate between salads and sandwiches. I keep a lot of vegetables on hand, so it's usually fairly easy for me to throw together a decent salad. Here I'm just kind of showing you what all I got. Some of it was probably purchased intentionally for a salad, and other things are just like left over from different meals throughout the week or purchased for different meals throughout the week. But my favorite bed to use is a mix of 50-50 arugula and spinach mix. I find this one at Walmart. That's the only place I find that mix. And if I can't find the mix, sometimes I just buy a bag of arugula and a bag of spinach and do it myself. Excuse me. But I also like to always bulk up whatever the base of my salad is with some cabbage. And I just buy shredded cabbage to save myself the time. I also like to use up any herbs I have on hand, and this week I had like green onions. I don't know if that's considered a herb or not, but I also had some cilantro that was kind of going bad, so I went ahead and did that too. But I'll add parsley, thyme, dill, oregano, whatever herb I have on hand. To me, it just makes this salad like a different variety, so it, you know, spices it up a little bit and makes it, you know, something different. In general, I don't typically add cheese, but if I have some fat-free feta or goat cheese on hand, I will add it. Other than that, if I just have like basic cheddar mozzarella, I don't worry about adding it. I don't want to add the calories for not as much flavor, but I always make sure I at least weigh my cheese when I do add it. So in the top sections, just where I add my vegetables, and typically I don't have this many options, I just happened to this week. I love adding radish to salad. They keep forever and they're super cheap. They're like peppery and crunchy. And then I had some of those tricolor carrots, an English cucumber, some tomatoes from the garden, cherry tomatoes, and then some red and yellow bell pepper as well. I almost forgot the most important part, a little bit of onion. I don't think I ever make a salad without onion, but in general, I just really, really love onions. And then also to add more variety to my salads, I typically don't eat the same dressing like every day of the week. These are some of my favorites. I absolutely love the light Olive Garden Italian, really good. And then the Bolthouse I'm using right here is the balsamic. It's pretty good. To be honest, I'd rather just have balsamic and olive oil, but this was my first time trying that one, and I didn't repurchase it for quite a while, but more recently I have. But Bolthouse Ranch is a favorite of mine, and I don't miss regular ranch at all. I think I'll prefer this one over, say, Hidden Valley or something of that sort. And so after you measure all your dressing, which cheese and dressing are the two things I measure, you're good to go. The day of eating it, I may add some croutons or some sunflower seeds or pepitas, something like that. But my salad containers all have come from TJ Maxx, and I absolutely love them. Okay, you'll have to let me know if you enjoyed that, because sometimes I just turn on my camera to capture stuff and then forget I record, or perhaps I remembered I was recording that day and I didn't get enough footage. That's another instance where I get random videos. Or if I'm like, hey, this dinner seems good, or I think this is a good breakfast to share, but I'm not wanting to film all day, I pick up my camera. So let me know if you enjoyed this type of video, and if you stuck to the end, appreciate you. Bye.